Tonight, the new series True Life Crime investigates the most harrowing mysteries rocking headlines and social feeds. Young lives gone too soon. Their deaths were shocking, and haunting questions remain. I'm True Life Crime UK correspondent Linda Ade, and I'm here to join the dots and expose the truth. A weekend break and a savage attack.
I've never, ever seen such a horrific thing in all my days.
18-year-old Connor Marshall is left for dead.
I just remember not even recognising who it was and just thinking, that's not Connor.
How did a quiet resort become the scene for such violence?
It was very shocking to think that this could have happened in Porthcawl.
Was Connor a random victim?
I knew Connor wasn't the one to start a fight.
Or targeted by a killer?
What could have happened that could have led to those kind of injuries?
I'm on my way to Porthcawl, South Wales, a seaside town with beaches, arcades and fairground rides, where thousands of people flock to enjoy the holiday vibe every summer.
I remember the first time I went to the seaside. It was such a special moment. It brings back happy memories.
But for one family, happy times became desperate times. And they'll always associate this resort with tragedy.
It was here that Connor Marshall was subjected to the most brutal attack.
It was March 8th, 2015, when Connor was discovered savagely beaten and lying unconscious in this holiday park. What could have led to such an attack, and who was behind it? My investigation starts in Barry, another seaside town 25 miles east of Porthcawl. It was here where Connor lived and where his parents have agreed to meet me. I want to learn from them what kind of teenager Connor was.
Hi, Nadine. Hi, Richard. I really want to know more about Connor, like what he was like as a child.
He was the first child for us, big brother to Jack and to Georgia. He had a real little personality very early on, and the sense of humour came through, didn't it?
Yeah, always a big grin on his face.
Yeah.
How did his personality start to develop as he got to a teenager?
He was really particular about his own quirky style, and regardless of what I thought, what anybody, it was just, no, he would do his thing.
What kind of things did he like doing?
Outdoorish, but not getting dirty. If it involved mud and things, then he'd a bit, you know? When he was younger, he didn't like to get his hands dirty and things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, he had his man bag, and it was a standard joke. You opened his man bag, and there was a comb in there.
Yeah, I can see how your face lights up as you speak about him. How did you find out what happened?
It was 7:22 in the morning, and the door went. I opened the door, and Richard came down the stairs, and the two policemen just asked if we were Connor Marshall's parents.
Right.
And we said yes, and they just said that there'd been an incident and that we needed to get to the hospital as quickly as possible. And it really was like one of those moments where your world comes crashing in.
They couldn't tell us anymore. We were like, well, what's happened?
What did you think had happened?
We thought maybe there'd been some sort of fight or something.
I'm just thinking, oh, maybe they've gone into trouble, they got drunk.
But who's they?
Connor gone with his friend, Dan, to Porthcawl for the weekend, and there's a great big caravan site there.
Had Connor been away before?
Not on his own.
No.
This was his first grown-up holiday. He was buzzing. He was really excited.
The caravan site Connor had gone to is separated from the town centre by the beach. I want to see what the area is like.
This is Trucko Bay. It's massive, with hundreds of caravans for families to stay in. It seems like the ideal spot for families. It's so peaceful. It just doesn't make any sense. I can totally see why Nadine and Richard would have been happy for Connor to come out here, because there's nothing here that would be a cause of concern. What could have possibly happened here that night?
And who could possibly have left Connor for dead? His friends and family tell me he was a lively, outgoing and popular teenager.
Connor's character was unlike any others, and he was funny, he was charming, he was cheeky as well, which everyone loved about him.
I always remembered Connor with his friends was just popular. Like, there would always be different friends over.
First thing he wanted to do as soon as he was able to drive was get a moped, and that was his pride and joy.
I think he had an amazing sense of fashion, which set him apart completely. He used to wear these vibrant shirts. So yeah, in everything that he did, he was always confident. His attitude, his persona, his way of life, really.
He had this ability just to be able to light up a room, and he'd just make you smile.
That weekend in March 2015, Connor had gone to the holiday park with his friend Dan, who still finds it too hard to talk about what happened here. So Sean, a friend of both Dan and Connor, is speaking for him.
Sean, thank you so much for meeting me today.
No problem.
Can you tell me more about the night that Connor went out with Dan?
They went out drinking then. When they were up there, they were just being lads, having a drink, out with each other, whilst on holiday. Then they left early hours in the morning. And then they were going back to the caravan. They went on holiday with his sister. Dan's niece was crying. So Connor decided to go out for a walk and then walk to the beach.
So there was a baby around?
Yeah.
Oh, so this sounds more like a family holiday, not like
Yeah,
a...
that's what I thought it was myself,
Yeah.
to be fair.
After Connor left the caravan for his walk, Dan fell asleep. When he woke up the next morning, his friend still hadn't returned.
So Dan went straight to the beach and was like, he's not down the beach, because he thought he might have fallen, he could have done anything. And as he was coming back to the caravan to see if Connor was there, he seen all the police. And that's when he asked the police, he said, my friend's gone missing, can you tell me what's going on? And then from there, that's when it all come out, yeah.
Goodness. It just seems so random.
The police had been called by another holidaymaker who had found Connor unconscious at 7 a.m. That was 5 hours after he'd gone for the walk. What happened during that time? And could it have been linked to the earlier night out?
Do you think it's possible that any trouble could have followed the boys back to the holiday park at all?
Well, when I spoke to Dan, he said that there was no problems at all, but anything is possible, yeah. Like, anything could happen.
You just don't know.
Yeah, none of us were there, so.
Speaking to Sean has been such a revelation. Could Connor have been drawn into a fight? Or could trouble have followed him back to the holiday park? I've just got so many questions. It's still such a mystery.
I want to know what the police had discovered, so I'm on my way to meet journalist Phil Dewey. He has contacts in the South Wales Force and was assigned to the case from the beginning.
Did the police have anything to go on? Did they have any clues or evidence? Were there witnesses at this point?
Absolutely nothing. Other than the person who had initially found Connor, there was nothing to go on. No one had witnessed this incident. With no leads to go on, it must have been a very difficult and challenging investigation. There were a couple of peculiarities about this case which the police couldn't quite put their finger on at the start.
How do you mean?
Connor was found underneath a different caravan to the one he was staying with, and he was found naked.
Connor was found naked? But why on earth would he be naked?
Police were looking at some kind of sexual motivation behind what had happened, but it was still complete confusion about what happened to Connor.
Oh my God.
I'm investigating a savage attack on 18-year-old Connor Marshall, who was holidaying in the Welsh town of Porthcawl in March 2015. I've discovered that not only was he left for dead, but he was found stripped of his clothes.
Connor was found underneath a different caravan to the one he was staying with, and he was found naked.
And I remember feeling really, really sick to the stomach, thinking, if he was found naked, has he been abused?
What impact did this have on the police inquiry? I've contacted Mike Berry, a forensic psychologist who's assisted many high-profile police investigations over the years.
Could his injuries help you to understand what happened to him?
Oh yes, when you look at his case, the first thing you notice is Connor was found naked. But you've got to try and keep your thinking as wide as possible. And you try and look at what are the things that are motivating the offenders. And I would point out at this stage, don't exclude a female. Being undressed is very much either very sexual or humiliation. So we mustn't be assuming straight away that it's a male.
This has really given me a better understanding as to how you start to almost build a profile.
2 hours after Connor was found beaten and bleeding, police have no leads. His parents race to his bedside, where, for the first time, they understand the full extent of his injuries.
When you were at the hospital, what did you do next?
They wanted us to go to a side room. And to be honest, we were just like, no, 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 we need to see Connor, we need to see Connor. I remember screaming. It was like this sort of animalistic scream to see Connor. And it was Connor, but it wasn't Connor.
He was just unrecognisable. And like, I just freaked. I really literally just screamed.
It's just absolutely horrific. And it was that image of Connor, and we've got photos here. They are horrible to see. I don't even know why we took them. It was such an awful sight. I mean, you can see for yourself, they are unpleasant.
I can't believe it. I've never seen anything like that in my life.
His face was so swollen and bloodied, and there was this huge big eye wound. That was what we focused on, or for me, it was looking at the eye and thinking, oh my God, his beautiful blue eyes. And I remember you asking, well, why aren't they sorting out the cut on the eye? And that was when they explained to us that they needed to get all the scans and deal with any internal injuries. And again, that was like a bolt. Again, it
must have been a shock. Yeah.
Yeah. When Connor had left the day before, he was happy, he was excited. And we still didn't really know, did we?
No.
What had happened.
Looking at those photos really is stomach churning. You have to think, who could do that to another human being? Connor had gone away for an innocent, fun weekend with his friend's family. He ended up beaten so badly, he was unrecognisable to his family. I can only imagine how distressing that was for them. We know that the attack occurred shortly after Connor and his mates had been out drinking together. Did something happen during that time that led him to being targeted? I've arranged a meet with his friend Rob. He, more than anyone, knows how Connor behaved during a night on the town. Thank you for speaking to me today, Rob. When did you actually meet Connor then?
Me and Connor met first day of nursery when we were 3. We literally went through everything together, went through all the exact same schools for 15 years.
So I guess if anyone's going to know more about Connor, you would be one of those people.
We shared like a brotherly bond.
Do you think Connor was ever different with his mates? Did you see a different side of him that maybe his mum and dad wouldn't have seen?
I don't think so, no. Like, he wanted to grow up quick and experience what it was like to be independent and be an adult. And he did that, and he done it really well. He took full advantage of it.
Is there any way that his confidence at such a young age could have, I don't know, ever turned into aggression at all? I'm still trying to work out how this has happened to Connor.
He would never go out and think, oh, I'm going to start a fight with this person. That wasn't him at all. He would only fight if someone threw the first punch at him, or if someone was causing trouble to someone he loved.
Right.
He was very protective of everyone. Like, even though he was one of the younger people and he wasn't strongly built, he would defend everyone. Like, he would defend me all the time, and I was a lot bigger than him.
Connor may not have been the type to start a fight, but I know that even the most innocent of people can still get caught up in trouble. I'm on my way to Porthcawl Town Centre, where Connor had gone on a night out with friends a few hours before the attack. Did something happen there that led to it? Could someone have followed him back? A careless comment or a spilt drink is sometimes all it takes for things to kick off. But is that likely to happen here in Porthcawl? I'm catching up again with local journalist Phil Dewey.
Well, of course, there's no town where there's no crime, and like any other town, this town has its troubles. But it's very much, people like to go out and have a good time, have a drink. There might be the odd fight and fisticuffs, but nothing out of the ordinary.
So why did the police extend the search to the town centre if Connor was found in the caravan park?
When police looked at the CCTV footage from the campsite, they saw that Connor left the site with 2 friends at around 11:30 after attending the on-site bar, came to town and had a few drinks, enjoying himself with friends.
Have you got that CCTV?
Yes, yes, I can show it to you right now.
CCTV delivers vital clues in so many criminal cases. Can it provide answers in this one?
OK, so where is this?
This is them in a shop on the campsite. Connor is buying some drink for the night.
So this would have been the first thing they did that night?
Yes. This is now Connor back in the town centre. This is them leaving the sports bar.
That's just literally there, isn't it?
Yeah. This is them having returned to the campsite at around 2 o'clock in the morning.
This is them returning back?
Yes.
So can we just pause that there?
Yes, of course.
This is so strange because nothing looks out of the blue here. It doesn't seem like anyone's following them. It looks pretty normal, like a pretty normal night out for drinks with your boys.
Yep, and this is what the issue that the police faced. They were faced with CCTV footage which showed nothing out of the ordinary.
With the CCTV offering up no clues and no evidence of anyone following Connor's group, the police had to fall back on a public appeal for help.
South Wales Police are currently conducting an investigation into a very serious assault that occurred at Treco Bay Caravan Park. I'm appealing for anyone who may have been in the area at that time that may have information that can assist the police.
By day 2 of the investigation, police had spoken to hundreds of holidaymakers and residents, but none of them could offer any useful information. I find that really hard to believe. I need to go and see this place for myself.
The one thing that is bothering me about this story is this caravan park is huge. It's the biggest in the country, in fact. At the time Connor was attacked, there'd have been hundreds of families staying here. So why didn't anyone hear anything? Surely, if there was a fight, somebody would have heard something.
It seems the only person who could have provided answers was Connor himself. But that was becoming more unlikely as each day passed. His condition was so severe, he had to be treated in a specialist unit at the University of Wales Hospital. Could the nature of his injuries give any clues as to what happened to him? I am starting to piece together what happened that night, but I still do have a couple of questions for you.
Yeah.
Okay. What was Connor's condition? How was it starting to develop?
The time was going on, more injuries were becoming apparent in the severity. He had a shattered eye socket, he had blood vessels had ruptured in his nose. He had this huge wound on the back of his head. He had a ruptured spleen.
He actually said that he had a bruised heart as well.
Yeah, and
He had a bruised heart. Did you have any idea of what might have happened?
We still didn't know, but his hands were mark-free. There was no blood or cuts, and the nurse explained had there been some sort of fight, they would have expected either on the surface or below. Yeah, and his hands and his feet were absolutely perfect. So when we spoke to the police, they believed that the injury had been sustained from being knocked on the back of the head.
Behind?
Yeah, from behind.
That's absolutely rattled me. So even if he wanted to defend himself, he didn't have the chance?
No.
The fact that he was attacked from behind has changed everything. So, not only was this attack savage, it was cowardly. Whoever was responsible gave Connor no opportunity to resist. And I still can't work out whether the attacker planned the assault beforehand or chose Connor at random.
Jen, thank you so much for meeting me today.
I've reached out to criminologist Jen Harris, who hopefully can answer some of my questions.
Jen, can you tell me the difference between a targeted attack and a random attack?
So your targeted attack, often you find it's often premeditated. Usually the person that's committed a targeted attack knows the victim and vice versa.
Is it possible that someone can go out with the intention to harm someone they don't know? Premeditated, but a stranger.
Some people have internalized issues. They know that they want to do something. At that point, they don't know what it is, and then there's potentially a trigger factor that can cause that to happen. So yes, essentially there is an element where a random and targeted attack can kind of culminate and exist together.
How likely is it, though, that someone can get attacked by a stranger versus someone they know?
That's a really good question, because stats are showing that like offences from strangers are kind of decreasing over time. The likelihood of you being attacked by someone you know is a lot more greater than being attacked by a stranger.
The stats may point to an assault by someone who knew Connor, but from everything I've learned about him, it just doesn't seem likely. So who was responsible? The police were starting to close in.
They had found a metal pole underneath one of the caravans, and that metal pole was covered in blood.
Oh my God.
Along with that, they found a fingerprint.
I'm digging into the brutal attack on 18-year-old Connor Marshall during a weekend away in the Welsh town of Porthcawl. He was beaten senseless, stripped, and left for dead. I've discovered shortly before the attack, Connor had been on a night out in the town centre with 2 friends. CCTV pictures show no evidence of any arguments or of the group being followed back to their caravan park. The only critical info the police had was the absence of wounds on Connor's hands and arms, which led them to one definite conclusion.
It would appear that he was attacked from behind. There's no defence wounds. There's no indication that he has tried to defend himself. But it quite clearly comes across as he's being attacked in what we call a blitz attack rather than a confidence attack. Confidence attack is when somebody actually talks or communicates and face-to-face with the person. In this case, I would argue quite clearly that it's a blitz attack, very impulsive, very angry, from behind.
Wow. So the attacker had taken Connor by surprise, which makes me wonder, if Connor knew them, why the sudden assault? If it was a random attack, what on earth instigated it if there wasn't a confrontation? I've made contact with local TV journalist Alex Hartley, who reported on Connor's story. I want to know whether the police had found anything.
So the first couple of days, Connor's been found. The whole attack is still a mystery. What happens next?
Police made their searches. They eventually found a metal pole underneath one of the caravans, and that metal pole was covered in blood. So they found a fingerprint on the metal pole. They found a match to that fingerprint on their database.
They did?
Yeah, he was a known criminal, a 26-year-old man who had a criminal record, and his name was David Braddon.
Who is that?
Well, that was part of the mystery.
Finally, the police had a name. But did it mean anything to Connor's friends and family?
When I heard the name David Braddon, I was really confused because I had no idea who this guy was. I never heard of him.
We were all asking each other, do you know, who knows? But it wasn't a name that was on any of our radars at all, none of his family whatsoever.
I kind of expected to hear a name that I recognised. I don't know why. What on earth was this guy? What connection did he have to Connor?
David Braddon was from Caerphilly, 15 miles north of Barry. If the two didn't know each other from their hometowns, had they met while Connor was in Porthcawl? According to journalist Alex Hartley, detectives thought the CCTV images might provide the answer.
I can't make sense of that because I've seen the CCTV and it doesn't show that anyone followed him back.
Once they had that fingerprint and they connected to that name, they were able to go through the CCTV footage again and look for a man whose face they now knew and fine-comb sort of through all that CCTV. In fact, we've got some of the CCTV footage here.
You've got it now.
Yeah, so you can see there was nothing unusual about his night out.
Yes, I've seen this. He's gone to buy some drinks. Everything looks pretty normal.
So if we have another look at this piece of CCTV footage.
Who's that?
You can see Connor walking along with his friends here.
Yeah.
So there's Connor walking, and police were then able to identify David Braddon in the same shot.
That's him there?
That's him there sat down, and Connor Marshall just walks right past him.
Oh my God. They were in the same bar at the same time?
Yeah.
There's something really chilling about that, seeing that like that. I had seen this footage before, but now I know the context. Now I know that that is Bratton. It's crazy. I now know Bratton had been drinking in the same bar as Connor before the attack happened. But what did he do afterwards? And where did he go? I want to find out if surveillance cameras could give investigators the lead they needed.
So the police went back to the CCTV and they found a shot of a vehicle leaving the holiday park, and they wanted to identify whose vehicle that was.
Why? Why is that car so significant? Whose car is that?
So they found out this was David Bratton's mother's car,
His mum's car.
but it wasn't his mum driving. It was him.
Oh. So he had taken his mum's car to get to the holiday site?
They went to David Bratton's mum's address and questioned her. He wasn't there, but whilst the police were questioning her, David Bratton rang her.
Oh my God.
So she immediately told him to hand himself in. He said no.
He said no?
He said no, and he went on the run.
As the police launched a manhunt for Bratton, Connor remained in intensive care. 4 days after the attack, on the outside, Connor's injuries were healing. But was this the full story?
The consultant came to us again and said Connor's brain is showing significant damage and trauma.
That must have been so devastating.
To try and explain, even to me, but to explain to our children that he's getting worse, and they're just looking at us and going, how can he be getting worse? He's looking better.
And at that point, we were in the family room and another nurse came in and she introduced herself and she said, I'm here from Organ Donation Wales. And we just looked at each other.
And I told her to leave.
Yeah.
He told her to leave?
Yeah.
Why did you tell her to leave?
Because Connor was going to be okay. To have somebody from organ donation, that's just a stage you just don't even think about. So I just said, look, it's not necessary for you to be here. You don't need to be here. Connor's going to be okay.
How did you realise that Connor wasn't going to make it?
The consultant came to see us, didn't she?
And she just said it's gone too far.
Nadine and Richard were told that Connor would never regain consciousness and would have to remain on life support. They had to make the agonising decision of whether to keep the machine on or switch it off.
We had that discussion, didn't we? We said, don't care what form he's in.
You just wanted your son?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And we knew that the children would feel the same. But there was a nagging feeling. We had to put our feelings to one side and think about Connor. This is about Connor and what does Connor want? It was just harrowing, being really divided and sort of feeling disloyal to Connor as his mum, as his parents.
We asked him everything. Is there anything? Like we said, can we fly into America somewhere? Can we fly somebody in and can they fix him somehow? Can
Was
they
there
do
anything?
Something? Nothing at all.
Absolutely nothing.
And they've said no, because of the brain injury, there is nothing anybody can do.
I think for any parent, that is an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
Your worst nightmare.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how tough this must have been for Connor's parents and his siblings. But aided by the fact Connor had signed up to be an organ donor, I can totally understand how they made their decision.
And the kids got up on the bed, well, we all did.
Remember, Jack was lying on his chest, and when they turned the machine off, and Jack just kept saying, his heart's getting slower, Dad. Dad, his heart's beating slower. And we was like, come on, come and sit by here or something like that. And he was, nope, I'm not moving. I want to listen to Connor's heart. And that's what he did, didn't he? Yeah. Literally listened to the heart until it stopped. And then he just looked at us and he said, "It's not beaten anymore."
It was just that hard-hitting feeling and almost cold. That's how I remember, just feeling cold, just not knowing what was going to happen next, but knowing that we had to go home as a 4 instead of the usual 5 of us.
It's just heartbreaking knowing that he won't be there to meet my kids when I have kids, for all his friends' wedding days, to see his brother and sisters grow up.
And it was the most horrific day that never ever gets easier. And the horrible thing was that it didn't end there. Medically it finished, but that was then the point at which the police investigation was cranked up another gear.
Following the death of Conor Marshall yesterday, South Wales Police have now launched a murder investigation.
Less than a week after starting their hunt for a violent, dangerous attacker, detectives were now searching for a killer. Four days after teenage holidaymaker Conor Marshall was attacked at this caravan park in South Wales, his short life came to an end. The police were now sure they knew who'd beaten Conor with a metal pole, but they still had to find him.
For this brutal attack, may have shared information with a family, a friend, or a neighbour. And I'd ask and urge anyone that may be in possession of information or may have witnessed this incident to contact South Wales Police Investigation Team.
Braddon didn't stay on the loose for long. Within days, officers traced his mobile to an address in Scotland, where he was arrested and charged with murder. But what did he tell police? Why had he attacked Conor?
To begin with, Braddon refused to say anything and answer any questions. But then he eventually cracked, and this is what he said.
You have it.
I've got a
video
clip from the police interview.
Oh, my God.
He was walking ahead of me. It was darkness. I started arguing.
They started arguing?
Swearing and that. He started swearing back, so just assumed it was him then.
Assumed it was who?
David Braddon said he thought Conor Marshall was someone else.
Oh, my God. Are you joking?
He thought that Conor was his estranged partner's ex. So he'd been texting him.
How does that make any sense, though?
I don't think it does make sense, but David Braddon was high on drugs that night. He was full of alcohol, and he was riled up and had been sending these text messages. And when he saw Conor, he presumed that that was his estranged girlfriend's ex and attacked him.
The man Braddon had a grudge against was staying at the same caravan park as Conor. After he failed to respond to texts, Braddon had gone there to seek him out. When he saw Conor taking a late-night walk, in his alcohol and drug-fueled rage, he thought he found his target.
We started fighting. We just got out of control.
How many times have you hit him in the head?
4 or 5.
At any time do you recall hitting him in the head with that pole? What did you do with the pole then that you do recall?
I just smacked his leg.
Okay.
I didn't want to cause him serious damage.
How can you say you didn't want to cause him serious damage? This makes me sick.
Got my phone up and checked his face and all over. Started speaking. I thought he'd get up. I panicked and went. I didn't mean to kill him.
How can you beat up so savagely an 18-year-old, hit him over the head of a pole, step in his face and strip him naked by an accident? That isn't an accident. Him being stripped naked, what was that about?
I wanted to humiliate him, so I stripped his clothes, I chucked his clothes on top of the caravans.
It's just sick, really.
David Braddon was on a mission to attack and humiliate the person he thought Conor was.
It's heartbreaking to hear the senseless reason for why Conor was attacked, and we only have Braddon's version of events, which still don't make sense. He claims they exchanged words, but Conor was attacked from behind and had no defensive injuries.
Conor was a different build, he was a different age. He would have known because there was no resemblance. He was excessive in every which way. He went out determined to do harm.
I just remember being really, really angry and feeling sick to my stomach that somebody, that he had the gall to do that to Conor. I've never felt so much hate for somebody as I did for him.
4 weeks after Conor's death, hundreds turn out to remember his life.
It was such a beautiful day, and being asked to be a pallbearer was one of the greatest honours that I have, but it was also one of the most heartbreaking moments of my life. It was I just grabbed my mum, and I just didn't let go for a good 5-10 minutes. Everywhere you looked, there was tears.
Two months later, Braddon went on trial for Conor's murder. Faced with the mountain of evidence against him, he had no choice but to plead guilty. He was jailed for life, with a minimum of 20 years. But for Conor's family, it isn't enough.
You take a life, you pay with your life. There's no two ways about it. But that animal beat my son to death. He stamped on him. He hit him with a pole. He should never, ever walk the streets again, because he's just a danger to the public. Some people will argue with me. I don't care. If it was your son, or your father, or your brother, then argue with me.
Richard and Nadine's anger at the justice system would deepen. They learn on the very day he attacked Conor, Braddon was under supervision by a private probation company. Nadine asked for a copy of his probation report, but was told no.
It took 14 months speaking to various assembly members, MPs, and when we then had the report, we very quickly could see that there were serious errors in the way that David Braddon was or wasn't being looked after. Over 3 months, he'd missed 8 appointments.
That's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Do you think Conor might still be alive if the probation services didn't fail?
Yes.
Absolutely,
You do?
yes.
Because if they had done their job, that scum wouldn't have even been walking the streets. He would have been locked up. There is no way he would have been allowed into a family resort somewhere.
It's easy to understand the family's anger, especially as the pain of Conor's murder is still very raw.
Braddon had previous convictions for domestic abuse. At the time of the attack on Conor, he was on probation for drug offences and for assaulting a police officer. He was supposed to be under supervision. So what went wrong? Thank you, Ian, for talking to me today. Appreciate your time.
To get some answers, I've tracked down Ian Lawrence from the National Association of Probation Officers.
So in the case of Conor, what went wrong in relation to probation services?
In 2014, the then Secretary of State for Justice gave up the management of low and medium risk clients in probation to 21 privately run community rehabilitation companies.
What would have gone wrong on the ground for Braddon to have missed 8 probation appointments?
The company who were managing probation in that area at the time had a dreadful record. It just were not the joined up communications, the joined up record keeping, and the day-to-day support for inexperienced officers that should have been available. The coroner was extremely critical of the way in which the management regime was set up. It was absolutely awful.
An inquest in January 2020 found that there were serious failings in Braddon's supervision, but could not draw a direct link between failings in the probation service and Conor's death. 6 years on, and influenced by Richard and Nadine's campaign, the privatisation of probation services has now been reversed. As my investigation comes to an end, I'm meeting Connor's parents for the final time.
Do you feel like justice has been served?
No.
You don't?
No, not at all.
No.
He's got 20 years in prison, which is 14 years left. And we seem to count down those years, and it just seems quite scary that one day that animal will be let outside again.
Where do you go from here?
There's only one place to go, and that's forward. Connor wanted and believed passionately that life goes on, so that's what we have to do. We have to create a life, but also stay true to what we believe is so wrong with the justice system, that victims deserve and should be part of the system legitimately, not as an afterthought.
After Nadine's campaign, it's now standard procedure for a full report to be given to victims' families in similar cases. Inspiring change in the system has become part of Connor's legacy.
I consider myself very blessed and very lucky to call Connor Marshall more than just my best friend but my brother.
I remember Connor as somebody caring, extremely loyal, funny, very quick sense of humour. As an auntie, I couldn't have wished for a more wonderful nephew.
Warped sense of humour, as we all have, I think, in our family, haven't we? But I think you need that. But, yeah, he was a good kid. He really was a good kid.
In the years since Connor's murder, one of his tattoos has become a source of comfort for his loved ones.
Connor's left a strong legacy that, along with his tattoo of life goes on, and just that's something that you need to embed every day into your life.
When we used to say to him, we'd say, Connor, what are you doing? And we'd have a moan, and he'd just go like that. Put his arm around the door and go, life goes on.
And it became, yeah, his mantra, and it's become ours, hasn't it? You know, no matter what life throws at us, life goes on.
What do you say to a family whose teenage son was taken from them because of a brutal, senseless, completely unprovoked attack? I don't think I've got the words. Connor did, though. And it's those words that provide at least some comfort 6 years after his death.
At 16, Connor had signed up to be an organ donor. He went on to save 3 lives.
If you've been affected by any of the issues mentioned in this programme, please head to our helpline page.